everybody? Chuck the Comic Guy here with a new episode. And let's get it going. It's Monday, and it is raining out. We've finally got warm weather in Michigan, and I'm going to preface this with saying that if my voice sounds any different or any of my my way of speaking sounds a little off, it's because I've just gotten done with the dentist literally an hour ago. I have a half numb lip right now. I will go into that later because there's a whole thing regarding this weekend that needs to be covered. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who keeps responding, keeps following, keeps leaving comments, just input feedback. Thank you to anybody who is paying attention. Thank you if you're listening on Spotify in your car, if you're watching YouTube on your couch, and that Chuck the Comic Guy, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify, my main 4 accounts. I don't have anything else outside of that. No Facebook, no anything else I'm aware of. So those are my official accounts. And just for the record, anybody tries to reach out to you, I know I'm just a micronaut in any of this, in this realm of content creators and influencers. I am not going to reach out to anybody and say I'm hard times have fallen behind me and I need money or iTunes gift cards or Amazon gift cards. I'm not going to do that to anybody. So just know that now. If anybody tries to reach out to anybody, that's not happened luckily yet, but in this weird, whacked out world we live in, anything's possible. So I've seen plenty of fake accounts for random people I follow, and it sucks for them and for people who get scammed by them. So that's my official statement right there. Thank you again. And if it's coming through the mic, I apologize. It is pouring outside right now. This has been one of the weirdest, wackiest Mays for weather we've had in a while. It started off in like the 30s and 40s and 50, like it was lucky to even get 50. And then all of a sudden it's like 80, muggy, horrible out, and it's pouring, tornadoes and possible tornadoes somewhere outside of this realm. So I'm going to try to knock this one out while the weather's good and I still have power. So yeah, I went to the dentist today. And yeah, my overall weekend was going to Motor City Comic Con, which I will go into the details that tie in. It's like a connecting crossover story with the Comic Con and my teeth. But real quick, I just wanted to, so we're going to cover the Motor City Comic Con. It's wrapped up, and I'll have more details on that soon. I did over the weekend I got bored and I just posted an IG poll, Instagram poll. I was just curious. I like to know what my listeners are thinking. I like to be able to pick your brain sometimes. So just with the response I got out of it, I wanted to know whether you prefer to go to a local comic book shop that is more newer titles with less back issues, or more back issues with less newer titles. And the reason why I ask that is because it's very with those select comic book stores that are nearby me, I run into either one or the other. It's just kind of like you don't get that perfect like half and half divide where it's something that's just like 40, 50 plus years old. And then with all the new stuff, I mean, some of these guys try to keep up with the new stuff, but they are really selective because they wanted to make sure they're investing properly into their business and not buy a whole bunch of stuff that's not going to get bought. I totally understand that. So the general consensus was that I think it was 86%. I thought that the back issues were more important than the new issues, and that's fair. I mean, we there's so much nostalgia there with the older stuff. So, and it's always fun to just find it in the wild, just to find it in different variations of conditions, and to see if you can you find a deal on any of it if you're able to. So yeah, and I'm slowly, I was always a big back issue or like of my generation collector of comics. I'm slowly transitioning into appreciating or taking a liking to some of the newer stuff, and I will cover that later too. But I do want to cover some, actually, as of today news, Monday the 18th. So it was, as I was sitting in the dentist's office waiting to go in, I found out the very sad news. Tom Kane, who he's a voice actor and you might know him from Star Wars Clone Wars, who did Yoda's voice, and Powerpuff Girls. He was Professor Utonium. I mean, I used to love that show, and he's done a lot of work voice actor wise. Has passed away. I believe he was 64. I didn't write that bit down, but I think he was 64. So, to anybody who's a fan of his or any family members and people that really appreciate him, that's a sad day for you. Sorry for that passing, and to pass that note along. So, and then moving along with just another thing that literally popped up on my feed just about 20 or 30 minutes ago is Dan Buckley is exiting Marvel. He was the creative director, whatever, over there, mostly like the film stuff and everything, just kind of overseeing things in general. So they're bringing in, and mind you, this probably isn't so significant to people that just want to spend their money on product that they like. I mean, this is just like behind the scenes stuff. Some people do kind of like try to pick this stuff apart and try to figure out how it's going to change the course of history with who's taking over. And so it's a very big brand kind of thing to do, where they have to make an official statement and let you know that changes are happening. It's, that they're shaking things up a little bit. Not that they're trying to, but he's stepping down. He's leaving. He's going to transition power over to a Brad Winderbaum, who's going to oversee the publishing end, and David Abdo, ABDO, is going to be the general manager under Brad Winderbaum. What this really means, we don't know. I mean, this is just basically a very commercialized statement that they have to make. And like I said, and so this is just, it might not have any ripple effect on anything currently going on, other than just maybe some some changes with direction down the road. Might not ever see it, might never even feel it. It's just it's news. I mean, it's worth noting, because if you've not been happy with the product that's being produced, and if you notice after 2027 when Dan Buckley leaves that it's going to get better, or if it does get better, you might say, well, they made a change executively to make things more improved at Marvel. And I know that there's a lot of people that are very critical about how Marvel is handling their brand and their products right now, and their television division, and which most of these people, Brad and David, come from that background. They've been involved with the production, producing some of these shows, some of the movies. They've had a hand in this since pretty much day one, since going as far back as 2008's Iron Man. So it's just it's their way of letting us know that they are making efforts to make things better. And Marvel, since the Disney acquisition took place, I mean, I was kind of critical about it, because I didn't mind Disney as a brand, but it felt like it was very much Disney in the media market, felt like it was very much like the equivalent of that time, before Amazon was even as big as it was, like the Amazon of production. I mean, if you turn on MTV in the late 90s, you slowly seen your music videos transitioning from being alternative rock or metal or new metal to being pop stars, and they were all basically like Disney was pushing that brand through MTV, and MTV, it was like they were working in conjunction with each other, which I'm sure they were, and there was probably some sort of financial structure to that, but so it kind of felt like, geez, these guys are really strong arming the music industry, and then it slowly transitioned into a lot of TV shows and their networks and everything that they run. I mean, they are a monster, and good for them. I mean, they go back so long with Walt Disney and everything else, and I loved the cartoons as a kid, so I can't knock them too hard. The movies, animated films, and everything. It's just that you can't step like 5 steps in front of you without running into something. It feels like without running into something that Disney has had a hand in now. And when they took over Marvel, I actually jokingly made a tweet on Twitter, when I had a Twitter that was functional at that time, about how they were going to probably take the Jonas Brothers and Miley Cyrus and make them the Fantastic Four. And just tongue-in-cheek joke, of course, but I'm glad that they were able to have the financial backing to make Marvel better than what we've seen in the 90s or the 80s or anything that where they were really suffering for production value. So so we'll just see. I mean, I'm not I try to always put a positive spin somehow on anything related to the comic book industry because I don't. I just try to. I don't know. I try to put a positive spin on anything, even though I'm more of a realist, and I might just sound really sour about things. But I always have the best hopes for things that only improve and get better for our sake as the community, the comic book community, that we get better products, we get better things coming in the future, and we don't like to, this is kind of, we get so bummed out when it feels like someone's desecrating something so sacred to us when it comes to the material or the stories or the characters or anything of that nature. And we have put a lot of our time and our mental stability into it. That's the best way to say it. So that's the news so far as of today and mostly the news of this week. So moving along, I am still hanging strong to Dork. I went to New Comic Book Day, and that's becoming more of a frequent occurrence for me now. That was never really a thing to go every Wednesday, but I'm trying to make it a thing to do to see what's new. And I've gone to a place, Comic City, that I posted on social media, at least on Instagram, where I go. And so I was just kind of seeing if anything I've been kind of waiting on to show up. I ended up picking up the Absolute Batman, the Robin issue, the number 20, the Dork issue, number 4, and just a couple random things I just wanted to fill my library with. And I have not consistently bought a comic book story or book release consistently numerically in order since my X-Men days in the 90s. So Dork is really kind of won me over, half dwarf, half orc, full dork is the tagline. And it's a fun on the like edge of like teen adult humor. It's right in between. I mean, it's great, and I love playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. I always have since a long time, and so it's kind of got that feel. And it like really after the Absolute Batman giant when it hit the market and turned the world on its face for sales, when it came out with that whole universe and people started seeing the value of comics again, at least new comic books. Dork fell into that category. A few other issues of stuff, number ones and everything, started falling into that like hype factor. You got to have number 1 of this. It's going to be a big thing, and it is. I mean, Dork's a cool comic book. So I don't know whether I could say that for every number 1 that's hit the market this year, but Dork is definitely seeming to hold strong, and it's been confirmed that it's not going to be some short run. It's there. Brett Bean. It's talked about being a very long run. He's hoping to take this as far as he can. So. It's an easy read, and so far I'm really enjoying it. So that was one of my New Comic Book Day pickups, and I suggested if you like anything kind of fantasy or RPG related or whatever, or Dungeons and Dragons related for that matter, Dork would probably be right up your alley. It's got a lot of inspiration and takes from that. So I do want to also note that again, this is my 5th episode now. I'm not going to keep constantly keeping track. I'll just go with it. But I'm doing everything in my power to make this production and this show as great as I can. I'm really excited. I would not be doing this without knowing that there's people that are taking their time to listen. And so I've got a lot of, in the last week, I think the Comic-Con really inspired me. And it made me think, this is really cool. I really enjoy this community. And I have so many different podcast ideas just brewing right now that I got lined up. So I'm looking forward to getting those going here soon. I'm still working on a lot of other things in between, but I mean, some things just came to my mind. I was like, yeah, I want to do that, or I want to do this. So that's just keep following along. I will have some pretty cool things coming soon. But I wanted to, in light of that, Comic-Con, let me go back. Last podcast, and again, apologize for my dental problems. I think I've got me all thrown off because I just sat in the chair for 2 hours getting drilled on. So Comic-Con came around, and when I was talking about it last episode, I was super excited. I was excited the whole after getting done with the podcast. I was just like, let's get to Sunday for me. Unfortunately, we had to wait that long, but it could not have come fast enough. I mean, I was just like, don't let anything get in my way. Don't let anything interrupt my groove getting to Comic-Con on Sunday. I was seeing people post on Friday. I was seeing people post on Saturday. Social media people that were there. It's like funny that there's so many local people on TikTok that I have encountered before even knowing they were in the Detroit metro area that were going to be there. And it's cool to catch up with what they've been posting. And so I was just like, Sunday, come on. So to backtrack a little bit, my crossover story here. Friday, I was like, it's almost the weekend. I work a day job. It's just, we kind of all have to at this point. And so I was just wanting to get my day job over with and start the weekend and get all like super inspired of what was going to come and just what I wanted to do. I was trying to put together a game plan of what was going to happen when Sunday comes around, and like 2 days in advance, which is never a good thing because it just gets you more riled up. So Friday morning, I went to go brush my teeth and broke a tooth at 6:30 in the morning before my day job even started. And that was kind of like, do not let this interfere with Sunday. Do not let this ruin my weekend, please. So I had to go to my day job, and who was very understandable about things. And I also had to try to like line up a dentist appointment, which I could not do on Friday. Unfortunately, they were packed. So I had to hope that nothing else was going to go south on my weekend into Sunday. And it also had me thinking, well, now how does this affect my budget going to Comic-Con? Because I don't know what I'm going to find, what they're going to find when they have to fix my tooth on I had a Monday today, obviously, appointment to check that. So I had to also put that into my mind. Again, going back to episode 3 when I talked about collecting, remember, hardships come. They go. You don't know what kind of financial strife it's going to come against you when you run into something like that. So I really had to kind of think, okay, I better like reel it back just a hair when I get there and not go overboard spending because I might regret it immediately following Monday. So, so that was my Friday, and that sucked. And then on top of that, my wife kind of had a little like health scare, but it wasn't too bad. It was, we cleared that. I was like, oh, please. It's like, it's the idea that there's always just some sort of like when you are ready to, what comes up comes down, right? And I was just like, if this is what's going to turn into my weekend of like random events that are going to unthrow my Sunday, then I'm going to put myself in a corner and cry. I guess, I don't know, or put myself in a locked box for the whole next 2 days. So, and again, when I said I do not scam anybody for money on my official accounts are not going to reach out to you for money. My dental problems are my dental problems. They're not yours. You're not going to send me Amazon gift cards to fix my teeth. Okay. I am going to pay for that. So I am not going to reach anybody out directly to ask for money for my hardships. I have a hard time even sharing that I have hardships on here because it only opens the door for someone to try to emulate some sort of crazy con using my name and my situations to say, oh, some guy in Minnesota, where I'm not even from, or wherever, is going to need money because of a hardship. No, that's not going to happen. So, so Friday comes along, Saturday rolls along, Sunday finally hits, and I am like, boom. And that's when the weather really took a turn too, because it went from being like high 50s to like, boom, we're in Florida and we're still in Michigan somehow. So I love warm weather. I really do. I hate winter. I used to hate fall, but I really kind of enjoy fall now. It's like that nice in between. I hate fall because it means winter's almost here. So I hate winter because of that fact, but I love fall. And, but I really love warm weather. I love getting outdoors. I love the later days and more sunlight and all that. So I was like, I'm not going to let warm weather slow me down. I'm not going to let parking situations or anything. We're getting there. I wanted to give the Comic-Con about a good hour to get kind of started, because if you show, and I'm going to go over some etiquette that I wanted to share when it comes to going to events like this, not just Comic-Cons. I mean, just in conventions or big giant events where you are going to be, you're going to have to do some planning. So, So parking, we left. I let like an hour lull time, which I really want to do, but I had to just to let the cars start showing up. Otherwise, you're sitting in the road and you're just getting flustered, and anything can happen. So, about an hour went by, and I was showing up around 11 on Sunday. It closed at 5. They have kind of early hours throughout the weekend for this event, but totally understandable. So, parking, there was like 5 different parking lots with shuttle options. And $10 parking. That could be worse. And so actually we were able to get into the main parking lot next to the building. And the last time I went, was able to get a parking spot like pretty close. I mean, it was still kind of like a little crazy and chaotic to get in there, and that was over 10 years ago. This time, I mean, like, I don't know whether I made the right choice to wait later or just whether I should have gone earlier. I don't know, but that parking lot was full. I mean, there was grass outside of the parking lot that they made like accommodations for parking. They had people parking down 2 blocks over and taking shuttles down. I mean, I've seen worse. It could have been a lot worse. Luckily, we were able to get on some pavement and walk. It was a good 10, 12-minute walk from where we parked. And that could be worse. I'm trying to be glass half full here. So just take that into mind. They did have some prepay parking situations you could have done. There's a hotel right there connected to the convention hall if you're ever going to attend this event, Motor City Comic Con in Novi, Michigan, just a reminder. But overall, it could have been a lot worse. And so, and my wife and my child went. It's my wife's third or fourth time and my child's first time. So that's a whole other thing going into stuff coming up. So we walked in. I did the pre-buy your bracelet, a few days earlier. So it was, and actually, I've seen it worse over like before this thing got bigger than it is, where you're walking into a line. I mean, out the door, and I did not have to worry about that. It was just a matter of you already got your bracelet. Go through this door. There's people just like, okay, you're cool. Go on in. Great. So that was really smooth. I'm happy I did that. Now, I'm not the type of person that I haven't been giddy like a child since I was a child at Christmas, like when I opened up my NES for the first time in 1989. And those years, like when you're a kid and you have expectation of like the toys are going to be cool and gifts that are awesome. Like, when you get into paying bills and being a teenager and like that stuff, you slowly get numb to it. You don't really, you're like, yeah, cool. Thanks for the birthday gift. Thanks. You don't want to be that giddy child so much anymore. That's the first time walking into that place in a long time. I felt like sensory overload. I mean, it was so big. I remember it was like this before, but it was like it's even bigger now. So, I mean, they had a little different layout structure and less guests when I last went, so they had to accommodate for more space. So I walked in and it was just like, wow. I mean, my brain almost went into like overdrive of where do I go? Where do I start? What do I do? What's happening here? And my wife, she appreciates this industry. She appreciates anime and manga and video games and the movies and everything. She's not as in deep with it as the comic book community. She just she kind of understands it to some extent. So, and my daughter, she I mean, she's very artsy. She likes art. She likes drawing, and she gets it, but why it's cool, but she's not really into it. So, excuse me. So, just be mindful of when you go to these events, who you're bringing, if it's family, if it's people, first timers, and this is part of the etiquette I'm going to cover. Just know that, you have to remember that it's not about you or what you're there for or what you want. If you're there with other people, be mindful. Make sure that they're enjoying themselves. They're never going to want to go back if you just show up and bail on them. I mean, and I didn't do that. My daughter was a little overwhelmed, and I completely understand. And I had to and my tip for part of the etiquette, if you're bringing people, especially children or family members, children mainly, because adults can kind of know where where their lane is, I guess. But try to give them a reason to be there. Give them some sort of motivation. Give, like the first thing one thing I wanted to do before I started buying was make sure that my daughter like knew the purpose of being, like what the goal of being there is. And it's not just to appreciate what's going on around you, but it's also to like support vendors and comic book shops, or to, to appreciate in some way. And she did. In 10 minutes, she really likes gemstones and stones and rocks and cool things like that. So she found a vendor within 10 minutes, and that's good because it's a very good way of kind of also plugging the show. I mean, you could find, like, you didn't have to go very far to find something cool within a short amount of time. So she found some like rock stuff, and I advise any parents, if you're going there with a kid, teenager, young adult, that you think they're not going to be happy, buy them something. Like, I don't care if it's like 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks. Give them, like, it makes your time there easier from my experience, because once she was like kind of like, I don't want to be here initially. I mean, she kind of like wondered for a second there, like, why am I getting drugged to this for you, but it was kind of like I wanted her to have this good experience. And so, and once she found something she could relate to there, it made things a lot more smoother, because then she had like, now she's got the eyeballs everywhere of like what else to find. And they've got things for everybody, because it's great. Like handbags for like, my wife found a handbag thing that she could have possibly bought. Well, she didn't really buy one, but she thought they were cool. So they try to accommodate every demographic that's going to come in there, because they don't want you showing up, feeling like you wasted a day pass or whatever. And then like, well, why did I want to come back here next year? They want you to come back. They want to find motivations to have you back there again. So keep that in mind. And also, I would suggest, if it's worthwhile to you, I'm saying this to a person like me, who this is like your event, but you're trying to do your best to share it, right? If you have friends, I mean, it's best if you're going with your family, maybe to find a couple friends that are like family friends that you can bring along for the ride. So that way you can separate a little bit and give yourself some space, and let them kind of figure things out too, and, or there's the other option, and I'm only throwing this out there as a way to be able to kind of be a little bit selfish for yourself. If you just want to have, like, I'm in my zone, I don't want everybody jumping into my bubble here, is if you want to buy the 3-day pass, or buy 2 passes, one per day or whatever, Saturday, Sunday, is that you try to find a way to have you and maybe a group of friends that completely geek out for this kind of stuff to go on one day, and then use the next day to bring family. And then you've gotten most of the stuff out of your system. You could still go back and like maybe come and just stumble across a few things you missed the first day. And then you could still have the time to just kind of show your family or whoever your significant other is around, to make sure that they're not getting left behind. Because I think that's a great way to kind of approach it, if you want to spend that little extra money on yourself with an extra pass. And then it's almost a win-win situation. I mean, really. So that's my part of my etiquette. And I also wanted to discuss too, because in walking around the Comic-Con, they have it. They had a whole media guest section, then they had your vendor and comic book store sections, and then they had artist row. They had like a couple rows dedicated to artists, local and big name artists. Had I shown up a little earlier, I probably could have stood in line. And that's the other thing too, with bringing people with you. They're going to be like, great, you're waiting in line, I guess I'm just going to walk around. That's the other thing you got to consider too, because you're going to want, if you want a signature, you could be waiting for like an hour, or 30 minutes at least, to get up there and get your signature, spend some time for a minute, and then, okay, great. And while you're doing that, someone's just waiting on you. So you kind of have to, unless they're finding a way to keep themselves occupied while you keep yourself occupied, that's the win-win situation. But likely not. You kind of have to know. It takes a lot of planning and a little bit of prep work if you're going to go into a situation like that, to tell the person or group or family or whatever you're going with, this is what I'm here for, take it or leave it, if that's what you want to be about it. And then and then that way there's a good communication, because it's big and there's a lot of, you could get lost in a place like this very easily. And as long as you're keeping contact between you and whoever else via phone. but just make sure you have that understanding. So, and dress accordingly. I mean, I know people dress up, and if I almost felt like wearing, I have a Fallout vault suit that I bought. It would have been miserable outside, but fine probably indoors, but that 10-minute walk probably would have killed me. But people, I mean, it's a cosplay convention or of sorts too. People dress up to honor the things they love. So, but footwear things, you're going to be on cement floor for up to 2-3 hours. Keep that in mind. I mean, I'm just for anybody who's a novice rookie to this whole Comic-Con thing or convention thing, just prepared. You're going to be on your feet for like 3 to 4 hours possibly, and you might regret that later in the day. And then going along with etiquette too, know that, and I've worked conventions for different industries, so I know kind of how it goes from being on their side of the fence. Know that these people are traveling, in some cases, multiple states to be there. They're having to pass up a family weekend. They're having to pass up other obligations they may have had, they may completely be fine with it, and some of them might just be like, I need to do this just to keep my name relevant or to make some side cash, or I have something I have to promote, so I need to be there for it. They might not be happy to be there, really. I mean, you don't know, you get a general feel by seeing the lines of who is really, really like fun to meet people, and then you'll see some of the vendors or some of the artists or whoever, celebrities, that you can see by the short line or no line. I mean, there were some that were like, a couple people at a time, and they might not just be known either. I mean, people just like, oh, I don't know what that is, but I'll go check them out. And the same for artists. It's just that you get a good idea based on seeing how many people are going to their table or booth, and talking to them and how long they're talking for. You get a kind of an idea of the feel of what you're going to run into if you're trying to meet them for the first time. So just be respectful. I mean, because if they want to shake your hand, they'll shake your hand. If they want to fist bump you, they'll fist bump you. I mean, some of them, these people are also being surrounded by people for a 3-day period where up to 1,000 people are hugging them and putting their hands on them. And honestly, I'm not a touchy-feely person anymore, I guess, or at all. I get why Keanu Reeves does what he does, where he just kind of stands by and puts his hand behind his back and tries to look like he's being like up close, because it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird. I guess you don't know where these people have been. If you're a celebrity and you just got some random like town's worth of people showing up, and they could all be sick or coughing something passing around, you're like, yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, I totally understand why they would be a little off-putting by, I just want to fist bump you and get you on your way, So respect their boundaries, respect their space, and understand that, you don't know what they're going through. Because when I worked at a convention where my grandfather passed away on my dad's side of the family. My dad's dad passed away when I was at a convention that I had no control over. I wasn't that close to him, so that was maybe a little bit of a blessing in disguise, but it was still the point that like I should be probably not here and be there. So, I had to, okay, well, I have to suck that up and I have to put on a smile because I am dealing with people right now and I cannot let that interfere with what I'm doing here. Unfortunately, so I've been at conventions that I've worked for a specific industry where I've gotten some really shaky news, or I've seen something on the convention floor that was really nerve rattling, and you have to kind of just grit your teeth and bear with it for the sake of getting through that weekend, especially when you're like miles away from your comfort zone, which is probably your home, or a hotel or whatever. You got to decompress, and you're stuck there, so you got to understand that about any of these guests, anybody that's working a convention. They're sitting there waiting for you to bring business to them. And in between that, if they get a chance to go to a bathroom or eat something at concessions, that's it. That's all. They might be able to walk around for a second and, rub elbows with people they know. But otherwise, they're just sitting there for they're wasting, I wouldn't say wasting, but they're using up a weekend to accommodate you. So that's my big point for etiquette, is just realize that, understand that, respect that, give them, if you feel a little off-putting from them, just, thank them for their time and walk away. And maybe they just need to work through something. You never know. So, and I mentioned that last time with like Tom Savini. he was a little standoffish, but hey, whatever. So I'm going to go through just a rundown of how the day unfolded. And so again, my daughter bought something immediately. She's the first person to receive something from before I was, and that's fine because it made her happy. And then it was just so over. I mean, I was like, wow, this is like Toys R Us in 1992. I mean, it's just like there was action figures, comic books, people. I mean, like prints, cool things here, there, everywhere. And I didn't even really have a game. Again, I'm going into this with a broken tooth, so I have to take that into consideration. I'd be like, geez, I really want things right now. I could go in there and spend thousands of dollars easily. But you also have to know that, be smart, like be understanding. If you're a complete novice to this, some of these people are probably going to upcharge some things. They got to pay for that booth. They got to pay for their time there. So there might be some deals that aren't deals, but there might be better deals than you think. So I saw G.I. Joe classified figures that I hadn't collected in a hot minute. And so they were running for good prices at one booth, and then I see them at another booth and they're kind of running a little higher. I mean, it's just the competition of things, right? Some comic book, a lot of old back issue stuff. I was looking through some amazing Spider-Man stuff that I wanted to collect, get kind of like feel for what the pricing was. And some of them were fair. Some of them were a little up, like above my budget. I didn't really want to go over. I kind of capped myself at about $200, and that's probably to some people like, really, that's it. But I mean, just try to, I didn't spend any money. Mostly I did buy. Okay. So I posted on TikTok that I found some deals at Walmart, and that was like $40, right? So, but otherwise I was pretty tame for like the last week and a half of spending, to make sure I had a good budget going into this. And, so I was like, okay, well, let's go down. I checked out the artist row. Scott Snyder was just knocking out of the park. I mean, there was no way I was getting his line. I was hoping that some of the bigger names, I could have gotten in there and gotten, and I'm just going to look one up real quick right now because, just for the sake of, so, because there's someone else that was there and I'm trying to remember her name now. Yeah, I mean, it was just, oh, she was with Daredevil, right? Yeah, I'm not going to find her just yet. But so anyway, okay, there we go. Stephanie Phillips. My apologies. I'm so underprepared today. Stephanie Phillips, she was right next to Scott Snyder. They did a panel together about doing street level characters. And I can imagine that was really cool. And she's like really hot, like I wouldn't say up and coming, but she is really like a hot commodity right now in the comic book industry, working on Daredevil. So that's kind of like her gig. And Scott Snyder, obviously, with absolute Batman. And so, yeah, their lines were packed. And then you went down the row and it just kind of thinned out a little bit from there. So everybody was just kind of like hitting them first. I could not get in line. I wanted to meet one or both of them, but I couldn't. So Ralph Macchio was like not right further down from them. And then, I mean, I walked the corner and mind you, 10 minutes in, I walked the corner and Mark Bagley right there, just hanging out. Like he's got his prints, he's got an assistant with him or a family member, I'm not sure. And I'm like, whoa, and he's like completely wide open right now. So, I mean, some people are looking at it as like Mark Bagley is from, he's a 90s guy. These people are new and hot and the up and comer guys. And so he's kind of getting like the cold shoulder. Unfortunately, I hate to say it that way because these guys, like, he's great. I mean, he's awesome. But to me, that's like, well, blessing in disguise for me that I can't get in line with them because I'm right here with Mark Bagley. I want to get something from him. I was shocked how many people were taking cash only. So be prepared for that. If next year or like the next time this rolls around, if you want to show up for Motor City Comic Con, wouldn't hurt to bring like $100 in cash just in case. And there's ATMs, but you got to pay the fee. So he was one of those guys, cash only. And then I went around the corner and there was more artists down there. Oh, Sam De La Rosa was like 3 or 4 more booths down from him. So I spoke to him and he had a lot of Venom stuff, a lot of really cool, awesome things, and super cool dude. I ended up buying a the original print of Venom Lethal Protector, signed and with he did his own little drawing on it. I had that book a long time ago. It was one of the few books I sold to someone. So, and it's a hot, like that book is still got like, it's like got some legs on it. I mean, people love that book, and it's just because it's Venom, like getting his first solo, ride in the comic industry. So, super cool dude, very friendly, took picture, I tried to take a picture of just about anybody I could. So, then I kind of went around. I was going to wait to come back to Mark Bagley. So yeah, I went down the art. They had a whole, like a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man they have a whole section of people that set up a thing for Ghostbusters, and they're like the fan. I don't like to say fanboys, but they're like the fan club of Ghostbusters right there. So they had a lot of people with their proton packs and cosplay for that. I seen R2D2. Well, there was a lot of R2D2s, and they had a booth for build your own lightsaber, which was really cool. I didn't do that, but I wanted to say hi to R2D2, not in my language to his. So got a picture with R2D2, and he just rolls around. Someone's controlling him, and he's just moving around, and like they know it's like, oh, you want to hang out with him, so that's cool. So yeah, that was really awesome, and like this has been a thing since I was going back in the day, that there's always, like, Star Wars is like it's just a breed of its own. Star Wars fans are just like, they're in a cult, in a nice way. They show up in droves, and they make sure they exist. And every time I've ever been to Comic-Con, there's been a section dedicated to the Star Wars fan base, where they hang out in this one section, and they all get together, and they got their lightsabers and all their stuff going on. That's super cool. I mean, especially if you're a Star Wars fan, it's super cool. And that's just about, I would have to say that's got to be every Comic-Con or big event that's got a cosplay nature to it, that you're going to run into Star Wars people, given, not a doubt. So, yeah. And at that point, this is where I didn't realize I was bailing my wife and child by going around the corner, because they went to go somewhere like down the aisle where I was at by Mark Bagley, and we lost each other, and it was like, meet us over at the Ghostbusters thing. And then my wife found something for Fallout, because she loves Fallout stuff, and I dig it too. So she bought a cool little sign. And I mean, I could have gone just nuts spending in there. I really could have. And then, I mean, if I wanted to get a lot of signatures celebrity signatures, I ran into an old friend. I mean, that's like the cool thing about, and I got to really give it props to the community in general. I mean, these events have gone, anytime I've ever gone to a con of any sort, horror con, Comic-Con, and, they go without a hitch. I mean, the community is absolutely amazing. The people that dress up are awesome. I mean, there's not really any situation you run into at a Comic-Con where you're going to get like I mean, it happens, but for most of the people that are just participants that are hanging out and true diehards for the comic book industry, they are just the most genuinely nicest and coolest people. And so I always would advocate that if you have a chance to go to, whether it be Motor City or New York or San Diego, I mean, get out to a Comic-Con at least once in your life, and it's just such a fun time. Motor City Comic-Con has already announced that they got the November schedule. I want to say it's like the second week in November. I want to say, and you can check this, verify it online. We all have Google, so we know how to find Motor City Comic-Con, whether it's their Facebook or their website. I want to say it's 11th, 12th, and 13th, or it's 12th, 13th, and 14th, but it's along that weekend or that week. So around there, it's months away, no news yet. But yeah, just to get back to some of the media guests that were there, I seen a lot of them at a distance. Carl Urban, Selma Blair, I missed Simon Pegg. He left a day early. And then I wanted to see Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross from WWE or F. They hadn't been at their booth yet, and that was a pretty kind of you could have gotten in that line pretty easily. Unfortunately for, good for you, because it's just so everybody wants to get to like the hot thing. So Carl Urban was packed. Selma Blair, she is super, super nice. I didn't get a chance to meet her, but everybody that's ever met Selma Blair, and she's from Michigan, so she like this is her home crowd. Everybody's met her says she's super awesome and like very friendly. So take that in mind. And there's, I mean, just so many other people there that I've seen in passing that, so it's just really, it's hit or miss what you're going to catch. Obviously, you know that the thing that's big right now is going to be the biggest line. Keep that in mind. But Motor City Comic Con was awesome. And again, it was great to get to it and experience it. And it's, thank you to the comic book community and the people who make it awesome as well, including the vendors. So with that all said, I've been ranting quite a bit and my lip is starting to not feel numb anymore. I'm got more things in the works. Again, follow me on social media, Chuck the Comic Guy, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. Give me a like, a follow, or a comment. And I thank you all again. Until next time, see ya.
Let's cut out of here.